Hello my friends, welcome back. This video is for those of you that would like to install a ceiling fan in a ceiling that you do not have a fan box or wiring or switches. One thing you'd like to do before you start this video is one, make sure you have some tools, electrical tools, Kleins, screwdrivers, maybe a drill. Another thing you need to do if you plan on taking power from a switch, a single switch, which I would recommend, it's easier, preferably on an interior wall, you need to see what size circuit breaker that is on. So you should turn on that switch. If it runs a light, turn it on, go over to your circuit breaker, start shutting off your breakers until you see that that light goes out, and then note what size breaker that's on, whether it's a 15 or a 20. If it's on a 15 amp breaker, you'll need to use 14 wire. If it's on a 20 amp breaker, you'll need to use 12 wire. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Welcome back to your Florida electrician. Today we're back at Jamie and Greg's house. We're going to go ahead and install probably 4 more ceiling fans. A lot of these houses back in this time frame, this year when this house was built, they didn't add any lights to the ceiling. How they got around the code requirement for having a light switched before you enter the room was having a half hot outlet switched, so you can plug in a standing lamp and turn on a light that way. Unfortunately, that doesn't help for people that like to have some circulation and a light in the center of the room. So we're going to install 4 ceiling fans, but first we have to do is prep the ceiling. We need to get a fan box up there, a fan box that's rated for holding a fan, not just a plastic box. So let's we need to take some measurements here in the living room and find the center. This is pretty standard stuff. To find the center, you take the length and the width and you divide each one by 2 and then measure it up on the ceiling, make a pencil mark in both directions, and then try to put a little crosshair, and that'll be the spot where you want to make your first little probe hole. Alright, well, it's hollow for one, and there's nothing around other than insulation. So you can stick that up there like that, and I'm not hitting anything. So that means we have in the middle between 2 trusses, either this way or this way. So we're going to trace out a box, fan box, and we're going to mark it and start cutting. Get the fan box up there. Okay, so to make the hole as close as possible, I'm going to use this other fan box as a template. I'm going to hold it right over the center where I made that other hole, and I'm just going to trace it out with a pen. Oh, the nice thing is I don't have to yell. Get a good microphone. And trace it out with the pen. And then I know where I can start cutting. Marker would be even better. Oh, that's even better, the marker. A 4-inch hole saw would do wonders here. Can't find it. Nice aggressive hole saw.
No, I didn't see it again.
Oh. It's rusty, but it's trusty. So, to try to avoid as much dust going under the floor as I can, I'll kind of hold this here. Greg don't mind, he likes to clean up. But a 4-inch hole saw would make an absolute mess, but it'd be a lot faster. And I'd come out looking like a snowman. These are hard for making corners. They have my favorite, the pink insulation. That's being sarcastic. Yeah, it's just itchy as hell if you get up in there. Which I'm going to have to get my hand in there anyway. So now I got a nice hole in his ceiling. I'll try to move this stuff out of the way. Oh, well, now I know where the trusses are. There's a wire there. Okay. So there's a few things I want to look for. I plan on using a fan safety box, bar box. This one here. It's rated for like 70 pounds or more. Ideal for holding a ceiling fan. Got some teeth on the end that are gonna dig into the trusses as you tighten this up, expand it. It's gonna get, you twist this and the end comes out and gets longer and longer. To go between the two trusses is one here and one over here probably. What I want to make sure is on the edge of the truss here, there's not a wire. And I don't see a wire here. If you want, you give me the, you see that? You see the camera?
Close.
Yep. Yep. There's no, we want to make sure there's no wire on this side that we're going to install on. And I'm going to stick my arm through here to make sure there's no wires stapled on the other truss where we're going to attach to, because with this, it's got little spikes there. If there's wires in there and I tighten this up, it's going to go through the wiring and short it out. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to make sure the other side doesn't have any wires stapled to the inside of the framing members. He's going to make a mess. Going to move this insulation out of the way a little bit. There's a wire there, but hopefully not going over here. Ooh, what is that one? Okay, so there's no wire up on the truss where I want to put this. There is wiring up there, but no wire on the truss, so that's good. Okay, so we have this fan bar box, safety box. This is going to go up in the attic. You can take this box off with these two screws, and then you just twist the bar while these two are sitting on the drywall, and this will extend out until it meets the width of the spacing of the trusses. But this is in the way at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and take this off. It'll come right off easily. Take the bracket off.
Wow.
The other rooms might be different. It might end up right on the truss, in which case we'll use a 1/2 inch fan box. But this is what you need for this particular one. Take that off. All right, so this is how this is going to sit up in the attic. It sits basically on top of the drywall, and you see as you turn the bar, this goes further out. So eventually it's going to go up against the two trusses. The trusses will be here. And not only does the weight get supported by these standoffs, you have these spikes on the end. As you twist this, it's going to crunch into the edges of the trusses. And that's why we wanted to make sure there's no wiring there. Because if there's wiring there, you could actually short the circuit out. I know because I've done it. So I'm going to leave it out probably 18 inches or 19 inches. That way when we put it up there, we don't have to turn it a whole lot to make it go up against the trusses. Okay. Okay, so we're going to set this up. We're going to put this up into the ceiling, lay it on the drywall, and the most important thing is to make sure this sits on the feet, not like this. Because if it's like that and you tighten it, when you install your box, it's going to be sticking out of the drywall. This is set up to be perfectly a 1/2 inch flush with this. And you'll know when you won't know right away until you put that box on. Then you say, hey, why is it sticking out of the wall, out of the ceiling? So you got to make sure this is standing up. Once you set it down, hold it down, and then turn so these stay down until it tightens. And tighten it right up in the center of this hole. If it's not in the center, you're going to have a hard time getting your box in there. The truss is actually right here on this side, and the other one is way down here on this side. So I want to put my hand up there and make sure, yep, that's on the feet. And this one I should be able to tell real easy. That one is too. Okay. So you want to make sure this is right in the middle of the hole, and then you start turning it. Can you see that from here? From there? See, there's the box. I got it right in the middle. Okay, and then I'm holding it down, and I'm going to start turning it. And it doesn't want to open more. Look at how much more it has to go. What? Oh, it just fell down. You hear it? Okay, now it's getting tight finally. You're not going to hear any kind of noise or anything. It's just going to get tighter. So hopefully I got this straight across the middle of that hole. I may have to make an adjustment to the hole anyway because I cut it exactly. Oh, you want it good and tight like that. Flat like that so you can get the bracket over. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Okay, so we need to put a grommet in that comes with the box. This is for putting the wiring through it so it doesn't scrape on the metal. So we need to punch out one of these, preferably not the middle one, either one of these side ones. Take your needle nose and knock it out. Take your grommet. The wire is going to be coming from the top, so we want this part on the top. The wire is going to push through here and then have a hard time pulling out. And that's what we want. So next step would be to put this part over that bar we just installed. It's going to hang down, and then we're going to put our box over that and tighten the screws here. So we're going to put this in the center up there. Take this, take this. Oh, this one had screws holding it. Yeah. Okay, this goes up and over that bar, preferably in the center, if you can. Like that. If it's not in the center, you'll find out real quick. Your box won't line up with it. You want to try to get your box in there. Is the moment of truth where you may have to cut the hole open a little bit more. Or not. So that's good. See how it's flush? If the standoff fell, it wouldn't be sitting like that. It wouldn't be sitting nice and flush. You can take your screw or your nut, whichever you want to work on first. There's 2 screws. And this is preferred over any other type of box. A plastic box is an absolute no-no for installing ceiling fans. Fan-rated boxes are the way you want to go. And this can still move. If this side is out a little bit, you can, remember that box turns. You can move it a little bit to make it turn so it sits flush in both directions. Okay, screws are in. Now we can put the nuts. Get the nuts started. This one's different than many other ones I've seen. They only have the screws or the nuts, not both. So very good. And then you get the 1032 screws here for holding the fan once we get that far. So there's one nut. And another nut. Good. Get it right in the center. All right. That is not coming out of there. And these we'll take down when we're ready to install the fan. We'll come back after and hit all this space with some insulating foam to keep all the AC inside the house. But that's after. So now we have more fan boxes to do. At least 3 more. Okay, so we're in one of the kids' bedrooms, and it's a corner bedroom. And a lot of times these bedrooms, the framing as far as the ceiling goes changes. Instead of being the trusses going this way, they change this way, and there'll be a corner one coming in this direction. So putting a fan box from truss to truss can be very difficult because this one might be at an angle. I had to poke around for a little while. This is my original hole here, and I felt something here, I think, and something way over here. So that's telling me it's at an angle. I was able to make a couple more holes where I have a truss here, nothing here, a truss here, nothing here. So I got something in this one, and this one. So I believe I have a truss going this way, right to the corner. So I'm going to use a different box, one box that lays flat on the bottom of the truss. It's only a 1/2 inch thick. I'm going to do the same marking with the hole, and then cut it out. But I wanted to make sure I can screw to something, at least 2 heavy-duty screws to get in there. If you just catch part of the truss, it's a real pain to get the ceiling fan box on there flat. It'll always be crooked, and the fan will be crooked and everything. So hopefully when I cut it out, I have it right in the center of the truss here, so we have something to screw onto. Okay, so as I suspected, this being a corner bedroom, although the other one was a corner bedroom, it didn't have this. We got one going diagonally heading to that corner. So if we had cut the hole where I originally wanted to, that straight bar box would never go on the edge of here, because there's not another truss over here. It doesn't work that way. This is a transition. It's going to be here and then over here. So that bar box simply wouldn't work. So luckily, I was able to hit the middle of that, and we can use this fan box, pancake box they call it, and that'll sit right up in there like that, flush, with some really heavy duty screws that'll go on the bottom of that truss. And it works the same as the pancake, as the other one, but you just have to make sure the hole that you put the grommet clears the side of the truss there, so you can get the wiring into it when you're done. So this one, in my opinion, is a little bit easier to put up than the other box. Maybe more secure as well. But yeah, real scary when you're making those holes. You're trying to guess where the trusses are by making little holes with a screwdriver. So luckily I guessed this one right, and it's going to fit perfect in there, luckily. So we're going to get my screw gun and screw this in. I got my grommet in there just like the other one. It does stick off the back. It does stick off the back of this a little bit, so you don't want it to be the grommet sitting on there. You want it to be off the edge of the truss, so it sits flush. So this box sits flush. And we want to start screwing the box to the truss here. This one comes with 4 screws. If you can get them all in, that's great. And this is going directly into the truss, so this ain't coming down ever. And that is never going to come down out of there. And these will be the screws for holding the ceiling fan. And the only screw we got left is the ground screw. There we go. So this one's almost ready. Just got to do some insulating foam there, and this one will be good to go.
Hey guys, I had a total of 4 of these to do, so I sped this one up in Greg Jr.'s room. I didn't think you would want to watch every single one, so here's one in, what was that, time lapse? Enjoy.
As I said, a lot of these houses didn't have lights in the ceiling, So how they got around the code of requiring a light before you enter a room was to put a switch and control an outlet. So this switch controls the outlet down there, at least half of it. We call it a half hot. So you can still enter the room and turn on a light or turn it off, like in this case, which not everybody likes that. Some people would like to have a fan or light or something else. So this room, we're going to change that half hot and make it so it's on all the time. We're going to cut this box out and put a 2-gang switch box. Here's the after drywall box. We're going to put this in its place so we can switch the fan light and the fan separately. That's going to be what's next. So I know it's that top outlet there. We're going to shut power off to this room, and we're going to take this off, see how it's wired, fix that switch, cut this out, and make it a 2-gang. So with the switch out, what we find here is we have the hots, neutrals, and we have a red wire. So they pulled a 14-3. So this red wire, I'm sure, is going over to this outlet. The black wire is providing power to the bottom half of the outlet. The red wire is providing power to the top half of the outlet, but switched. So an easy fix for that outlet is to tie the red wire to the power here, and then that outlet won't be switched anymore. But we need to get this box out of here to put a 2-gang box in here. So I am going to push the wires back into the box minus the switch, trace it out, cut the hole out, and we're going to pull this box off the wall so we can install our new 2-gang cut-in box. There's a lot of wires in there. There's power coming in, power going out. 3-wire, not too bad, I suppose. All right, the wires are pushed into the box. I want to line this up the best I can. You can do that by kind of lining up the screw hole with the screw hole inside. Kind of hard to see. And I want to make a line, but I want to make sure my box is level. Put a level on here across the top before I trace anything. And trace here, trace on the outside, trace on the bottom, and that's the spot I need to cut out to make this work. We're going to go ahead and cut that out, and then I'll get the box off the wall and deal with getting these wires out of the box. Should be fun. Ouch. Jeff's right, it would be easier with the Sawzall. Using the beater is going to be a mess. It's going to make a... Okay, that's all right. It's one of these old boxes, Jeff, that's just going to break. These are together. These are together. Get these apart. There we go. We have all the wires separated. Yep. Two. Yep.
Calling you.
See, this wire is free. Like that. What I don't want to do is go through the. I don't want to go through the drywall on the other side of the wall. Boom! I gotta put the new box in there. So nothing fell down the wall, so that's super good. Sometimes you have stuff that's not stapled and it goes bye-bye down the wall.
Hey guys, look what you're looking at. On the bottom, those wires are going to the outlet. One of those two top ones is either power coming in or going out. We don't know yet until we turn the breaker back on with a meter, and whatever one's not the power would be the power jumping out to another room or to another outlet in that room. Just wanted to point that out to you.
So there's my two gang. I have two coming from the top. I'm going to have three eventually. Once Greg runs a new wire down here, I think he's going to be doing that part. So I'm going to pop out three of these holes. I'm going to open them up. I don't know if you can see that. Just a little bit so I can get these wires in. That'll take care of the two, and then the future one on the top. I still want to feed this one on the bottom. So we're going to make another hole here on the bottom, and then go ahead and slowly feed these wires in. Everything. You got to make sure you get the ground in there. Everything. And this is a good job for the needle nose or the Kleins.
Hey guys, I sped this up a bit because it is pretty tedious and time consuming. I would recommend wearing some gloves while you're doing this because the ends of these wires, the copper, can be very sharp. Make sure you pull all those wires back into the box. Don't leave anything out, any neutrals, any grounds. Like I said, be careful doing this. It is time consuming. Use your needle nose. Take your time and pull all the wires in far enough where you can see the insulation of the wiring bundle.
Okay, you see the insulation there? That one's good. This one down here is going to be a little bit tricky because I don't think it's going to be quite long enough. Oh, I see it. I see the insulation there. Just barely. But it's there. And then the top one. Grab all the, as much as we can. Cool. So there's all the wires that were in the other one. We're going to go ahead and tighten that in the wall. Just want to make sure it's level. So turning these, we turn these little tabs that flip up behind the drywall. And that secures the box from popping out. And hopefully, if I did everything right, it should be level. Boom. Right there. So when you put the switches in, it should be pretty easy. Alrighty then. Let's start wiring some stuff back up. Alright, so for now, we push the wires back into the box. These wires are just the wires that were here for the half hot and jumper wires to power in, power out for the rest of the room. We don't have the wire pulled yet, the switch leg for the fan. So the kids will be coming home from school pretty soon. So I just want to put these switches in, not connect anything until we get our new wire pulled. And we'll make one of these for the light, one of these for the fan. But I just wanted to be safe. I want to put the switches in and put the cover on so when the kids come, we're safe and we can turn power back on. For these to fit correctly, I don't know if you can see this little notch. With this on here, these are more designed to be on drywall or something. So it'll stick off the wall. So it's best to break these off. Take your Kleins and break them off. And you'll see how much better this will fit. It'll fit flush in there once I screw it in. And they'll sit nice and flush. The plate will sit nice and flush. So we're going to go ahead and break the rest of these tabs off. And we'll show you. See how nice and flush that sits? Temporary. Put these in. I'm going to leave them a little bit loose because I want to get the plate on there. I may have to move it left and right. 4 screws, good. Nice. My wiggly screwdriver. Ooh. Nice. It'll be nicer once we get that wire pulled. And then we can get that fan put up for here, for each room. Hey, all right, so Greg ran the 14.3 that was required up to each fan box and to the back in the wall of each new switch that we put in. So I want to shut power off, take these switches out. We're going to feed that 14.3 wire into here and connect it permanently here, and then turn the power back on, leave the switches off, and we're going to go ahead and assemble and hang the fan in each room. But we're going to start with Greg Jr.'s room, and we're going to do that now. We're going to go shut off the breaker for this room. We're going to take these switches back out. We put them back in so it would be safe for the kids while we waited for Greg to run the 14.3 wire in the attic. Now the wire's been run. I shut the power off to this room. We want to take these switches back out and include the 14.3. That is for the fan. Okay, switch plate is off. We want to take the switches out. So these are not even connected yet. But we got some wiring in the back that was connected hot, so these boxes are fairly easy to get out of the wall. Just a little bit back on that. And then we're going to take some needle nose and pull the box out of the wall. Leave my tools over there. What's going on here? Okay, I want to turn this one. It's still holding. You don't want to just yank it. See? Okay. You can see how that tab was holding it. You don't want to unscrew it too much because this little tab will fall off. This little tab here will fall off down the wall, and then you're screwed. So you don't want that to happen. So, might be a challenge, but I see the wires right here. The one that Greg put in. I don't want to pull it too much, I'll break the drywall. So Greg was spot on. He got it right down the cell where he was supposed to, and it's perfect. That's what we needed. So I'm going to run that. I already made an opening here last time I was here. We're going to run this in. I do want to take that extra slack for making pigtails. I'll show you the pigtails in a minute. Yo, Adrian! Okay, so that's going directly up to the fan box. I want to put this back in the wall. Tighten the tabs back down. Oh, almost too far the wrong way. All right. And I think I lost one. I think one did fall off. Let me check. Yep, last one. So what do you do in the case of that? It's in the wall. You have to go get another. You have to get another box with another tab, which I believe there's another box here somewhere. You have to go get it. Get the 14-3 pulled in. I want to cut this to some reasonable length. This is a little bit too long. So one switch would be for the light. That's what the plan is. And the other switch is going to be for the fan. The switch that was here was for a switched outlet, which is this red wire. We just tied it hot. So now the top half of the switched outlet is hot and the bottom half is hot. The black is the power coming in and going out to other outlets. And the white's the neutral. So we want to trim this back. There's no power here. Lights have been turned off. Move the strip insulation. I want to go back towards the back of the box. Be very careful when you're doing this, not to nick the wire. You can do it gently to score the insulation. That's all you want to do is score the insulation. And then you want to pull the insulation off, but you don't want to just yank on it because you could pull the box out of the wall. So I want to hold the wire. I want to hold the wire back here with my hand so it's not pulling on the box. Get that insulation off. Get the paper off the ground. And there's going to be, we usually use red for the light and black for the fan. So that's the usual way we do things. So that is ready to be wired up. Greg did all the hard work by pulling the wire in the attic. So thank him for that one. So you do want some of the insulation to be poking from the wire into the box. You don't want it to be up in the wall. Gonna push my ground towards the back and wrap it around. I'm gonna wrap it around the existing that's here. Like that. I want to trim it back a little bit. That piece I don't need. And I'm going to use a piece of what was left here. I want the ground out of this one too. I'm going to pull the ground out of here with my needle nose. I'll find it. I can't really see it. Oh, there it is. Because I want to have two pigtails. So basically I want to wrap this one around too, around here. There's a couple different ways to do this. Usually I use my Kleins and twist it up real good. Yep, that's not looking good. Straighten this back out. Okay. Okay, you see the short end I put here. I'm going to go ahead and twist this in with the rest of the wires, so we have a good connection. It's hard to see, I know it. And then we have a green wire nut that is specific for doing what I'm doing there. The green wire nut has a hole in the middle for allowing one wire to pass through it, and tightening all these connections here. Okay, I want to push this towards the back of the box. Alright, so I got one ground here, one ground there. Next, the neutrals. I want to add a neutral to this one. I got two so far, basically in and out. But I need to add this neutral for the fan to that one. You can probably use a yellow wire nut. It's only 14 wires. Can comfortably be inside a yellow wire nut. And the switches we're putting in don't require a neutral to be connected to the switch, so we're going to push this into the back of the box also. We want the wiring, this wiring out of the way, as we need room for the switches. Okay, this is power now coming in. It's just basically coming from the circuit breaker, coming in and giving us power for our switches and whatever else we're going to do, and then going back out, feeding the outlets in the room and maybe going to another room. So we need power off of this. So how do we do that? We need to separate them all. And then we need two pigtails. So we can continue what we did with this little piece that was extra. We took the ground out of. We can take the black and the red. Strip them about half an inch, 3/4 of an inch on one end. Like that. And then this wire nut's a little bit bigger. It's probably about the size of a red wire nut, about the equivalent. So basically, I want power, two sources of power coming off of this lead. So I am going to pre-twist these together a little bit if I can. Just a little bit. Just so it holds it there. Put this beige wire nut on there, which is equivalent to a red one. And now I got that. I want to push this in the back of the box. But I want my power coming and matching up with one of my switches. Okay, the red for the light, the black for the fan, and my ground. So that's going to be like that. This is what's going to connect to the switches. You can cut these so they're even. strip them enough, probably about an inch, to get these connected so they can go around the screw of the switch. And we're going to show you that in a minute. Remember, the power's off, so we're not at risk for any kind of shock right here. And these I curl too. This is going to go around the screw, the ground screw on the switch. Switches are here. Almost always the ground is going to be on the left hand side if you're installing it correctly with the number, with the lettering up. Off is up. So I want this wire going on here around the ground, pinching it tight. And tightening it. The wire is going around clockwise the same way as the screw's tightening, and the purpose is it will tend to tighten this connection than loosen it. If I put the wire going counterclockwise and I tighten the screw clockwise, it has a tendency to loosen it. So we want it to be nice and tight. There's one. And then we do the other one. Same thing, clockwise around the ground. Tighten it. We want a good connection. That's why we put it nice and tight like that. Nice and tight. Push some of that back in the box. Okay, now it's just a matter of connecting my power. I don't know which one's which at this point. Power coming in to the wire going up to the fan. So we're going to pre-curl these a little bit. And then start putting them on the switch. Doesn't matter which one goes where. Just get them both on there. Try to take that extra that's not closed and close it like that. You want as much contact. You want as much contact with that screw and the copper as possible. So this one I may have to redo it because I can't really get a bite on it. Alright, take a good look at that if you can. The wire is wrapped around real good. It's going to make a lot of contact right there, a lot of contact. It's way better than any kind of stab in. Any kind of switches or outlet you have in your house. I would definitely use the screws and use this method. Don't use the stab ins, you're just asking for trouble. It's not a good connection and it will get loose eventually. Alright, there's one. And we'll do the other one real quick. Like I said, it doesn't matter if the power is coming in the bottom of the switch or the top of the switch. It does not matter. So that's the tricky spot. Getting that wire nice and tight. A second purpose for that wire being pinched tight like that is, say you forgot to tighten the switch, hopefully not, this screw.
My friends, I have another video of me installing this fan, the whole video. I'll put a link in the corner. Click on the link and you'll see the actual installation. And I have some bonus material of me putting in that 3-gang box you just saw and some bloopers at the end. Thanks for watching.
Loose wires cause fires. We don't want fires. Can you get a good zoom on this one? You can see how it is. It's not on the insulation, it's on 100% copper. Copper to copper. Whole lot of surface area. Right? Now I want to carefully push this back into the wall, being mindful where the ground is. If the ground touches anything hot, i.e. these screws, it's going to short out when you turn the power back on, or when you turn the switch on. So be mindful to push the ground back into the box where it's not going to hit. You see how easy that could be? That could hit like this later. You want that to be in the back. in the box. Don't cause yourself any more headaches than you need to. Okay. And then we screw them back in. If it wants to go in crooked, it's because it's too much wire pushing on the switch. Just adjust the wires in the box as needed to make it go straight. Boom. And the cover, hopefully it's still spaced correctly. I could still space correctly, so that's good. Sometimes I leave these a little bit loose so one can be moved left or right to fit the switch cover. Get the screw started. And I got the other ones here somewhere. Most of this, again, I'll probably fast forward. Anybody can put a switch cover on. Put the screws kind of loose at first. Otherwise it makes it difficult for the switch to move around if it needs to get the other screws in. So leave them a little bit loose at first. This one's not even going in. Something's not quite lined up. Okay, there we go. Okay, once you get them all in, screws up and down, looks more professional. Just kind of looks unfinished if you don't. Nice. Put power back on, we're going to work on the fan.
Well, fellas, that concludes this video. If you'd like to actually see the fan installation, click on the card in the corner. I didn't record all of the installation. I did 4 fans. If I had, this video would be probably 4 hours long. Take care and have a good one. Thanks for watching.